You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
Bumrah, Ashwin, Jadeja and Vihari are out injured, but India are soldiering on in Australia's day one of the Gabba Test ended with the home team at 274 for 5. My guest Ayaz Memon is with us. Ayaz, 4 test matches experience between India's 5 bowlers in this game. I mean, it's heartening to see how we're managing to do in spite of this massive disadvantage. Also in spite of the fact that Saini was pretty much out for almost the entire day.
Well, there are 2 aspects to this. I think clearly it's a very commendable performance by the Indian bowlers today to restrict the score to 274, because at one stage when Labuschagne was going so well with Wade, it seemed like they might end up with 300 plus. And then, of course, Green and Paine have got into a very good partnership. But overall, I think India have been able to kind of keep a little leash on the Australians from running away with batting honours on day one, having won the toss, and that was their good fortune. I think had a couple of catches been taken, and especially Labuschagne when he was 34, the scoreline could have been very different. It could have been actually in India's favour. The other part is the more troubling part where India is concerned, and it has nothing to do with the performance on the field, but it's to do about the aspect of fitness. I mean, this has been like the walking wounded in a war zone. The Indian team looks like, they've been in some war zone. Now, part of it is because some of the players have been hit and suffered injuries or fractures, like Mohammad Shami, Ravindra Jadeja, even KL Rahul, injured his wrist during net practice. But it just seems to me a little troubling and also inexplicable that so many bowlers are breaking down. Either it's a side strain or it's a hamstring pull or whatever. It just seems to me that there are too many players, and also batsmen like Hanuma Vihari. So there has to be some answers provided by the support staff, and especially by the fitness expert who's on tour.
I'm Menra Dorji.
And I'm Ayaz Memon.
And you're listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy and MediBuddy.
Okay, I'll go back to Ayaz with my questions in a bit, but I'm just going to take you through the scores. Tim Paine elected to bat first after winning the toss. India had 4 changes. Bumrah, Ashwin, Jadeja and Vihari, like I said, are out because of injuries, and India are playing Mayank Agarwal, Shardul Thakur, and also debutants Washington Sundar and Natarajan. Tough times, you'd think, but no, India drew first blood. Siraj sending back David Warner in the first over of the day, and then Marcus Harris was out to Shardul in the 9th over. Australia was 17 for 2 at this point. Smith and Marcus Labuschagne then steadied things with the team going to lunch at 65 for 2. Washington Sundar picked his first test wicket, then Steve Smith out on 36. But Marnus went on to score his 5th test century. His 113 run stand with Matthew Wade ended with Wade becoming Natarajan's first test wicket, and Marnus too fell to him 2 overs later. Australia were 213 for 5 at this point. Tim Paine and Cameron Green then saw out the day, and also the new ball at Australia were 274 for 5 at stumps. Now, Ayaz, you'd say the day was Australia's, especially considering, how the last half an hour went, also that India have taken the new ball?
Well, in a way, yes, because they made a good spurt of runs towards the end when the second new ball was taken. I think Natarajan started flagging, and I thought Tim Paine actually batted quite superbly. For the number 7, he looks very assured and very attractive. And Cameron Green, who's a youngster in his first series, has been coming along extremely well as a batsman. So this is, they've consolidated the innings. I won't say they've got the entire advantage. I mean, you get an early wicket tomorrow, this partnership is broken, then the tail is exposed. So I think the challenge for India is to try and restrict Australia to about 350, 360. But if they get past 425 or get up to 450, then it'll become very tough for India, batting second and then batting fourth.
We knew selection for this match was going to be tough, but one would have thought India would play Kuldeep Yadav, if at only just for the experience he has in Test cricket. You think not playing the spinner is going to cost India. Also, not playing Saha, you think India will sort of be found wanting with the bat as well?
Well, the choice was to play 7 batsmen. And 4 bowlers, or play 6 batsmen and 5 bowlers. I think the mindset in the Indian team seems to be, not that I've spoken to anybody, I just get this feeling, is that the position they are in is with a kind of a decimated squad in many ways. 6 or 7 of their senior players not around. They're in that situation where the mindset says, we have nothing to lose and everything to gain by going all out and optimize our chances for a win rather than try and be defensive, pack the side with an extra batsman, and then if you still end up losing, then you don't feel happy about it. So I think it's a bit of a gamble, of course. There are two gambles. One is that you played 5 bowlers, not 7 batsmen, and the other is that you've chosen another fast bowler over Kuldeep Yadav, who would have been actually your most experienced bowler on the field today. Today, your most experienced bowler was Mohammad Siraj, who's playing his 3rd test match. A debutant in Washington, Sundar. Even Shardul Thakur has played 1 match earlier and bowled only 10 deliveries. And then, of course, Navdeep Saini also playing only his 2nd match. So it's a very, very... it's a rookie attack, and Natarajan, of course, who in midday actually in the post-T session bowled quite superbly, I thought, lulling the Australian batsmen into making mistakes. Not that the deliveries which got out, Wade and Labuschagne, were great deliveries, but I thought, because he was so tight otherwise, not giving them any room, that when they saw something short, they went for a pull and paid a price for it.
I was actually going to ask you about Natarajan, but also Natarajan and Washington Sundar, the 2 debutants in this game. Like you said, I think India only have 4 test matches experience between their 5 bowlers they're using in this match. Natarajan has actually played all 3 formats on this tour as a debutant, was a net bowler in the beginning. He's picked 2 wickets. Sundar also got the wicket of Smith today. So how impressed are you with them? Very impressed.
I mean, Natarajan is becoming a saga. He's not a rookie, as we know. He's 29 years old. He's become a father while he's on tour. He came here as a net bowler, and he's played T20 internationals. Then he was included in the ODI internationals based on his T20 performance. And based on those 2 performances, and of course the fact that India's main bowlers have been sidelined because of injury, he gets to play a test match all at the age of 29. And this is like, it's a dream come true, of course, but it's one of those fascinating career trajectories, which I think there'll be very few parallels to this in the history of cricket, that somebody makes, comes in so late in his life, so to speak, and that too a fast bowler, and then is an instant success in whatever he does. And I think he'll go back from here pretty much a hero.
I actually talked about somebody who, was an instant success. There's also Marnus Labuschagne in the Australian team. Scored his century today. He's gotten near a century a couple of times in this series, but good to see him score that 100. He's very un-Aussie-like in that way. He's very endearing in a way. His sledging is also quite un-Aussie-like. I think the other day, the stump mic caught him asking Rohit Sharma how he spent his quarantine. So he's a very different sort of character in that team.
Yeah, he can be a pesky kind of a character. He's always muttering something, not anything surly or sour. He's got a funny bone in him. I've met him when the Australian team came here in 2019, and at a dinner at the Australian the Australian Consul General's place in Mumbai, and he's a very charming young man, and he was so much you could see he's idolizing Steve Smith that there was not a sentence where Steve Smith wasn't mentioned. Now, what we've got is, look at he's played far fewer matches than Smith, but in 18 matches, he's got 5 centuries. He's averaging about 62, 63, which these stats are very similar to Steve Smith's. And, it just seems to me that Australia have got 2 batting freaks in their lineup now.
Okay, just one last question. Now, Navdeep Saini has been sent for scans according to BCCI's post on their social media. Shardul Thakur also is struggling with the niggle. He didn't bowl at the end of the day. So, if it does end up being just, it was actually Natarajan and Siraj who saw off the day. Justin Langer talked about this yesterday, and he talked about, actually day before yesterday, he talked about how having an IPL before the Australia series wasn't the most ideal, and it could be part of the reason for so many injuries in both teams. Is that something that could be true?
It could be true, but it seems to have affected the Indians more than it has the Australians, because Steve Smith, David Warner suffered an injury when he was in Australia, not in the IPL. So I think even Pukovsky, he got injured while fielding in the previous match. if there is something to it, and there could be, I mean, this is something that a sports medicine expert or, a coaching expert would be able to, speak better on. But if it is true, it just begs the question that why was this not anticipated where the Indian team and Indian players are concerned and prepared for it? Everybody knows that we've been in the lockdown. There have been very few days where, for maybe 4 or 5 months, the players were not on the field at all. And then come the IPL, they've been playing. All these players didn't, barring Ishant Sharma, didn't suffer, and Bhuvneshwar. These are the two guys who got injured during the IPL. But the others all seem fit. So if there is something to do with preparation, then I think the support staff and the fitness experts must address it, and first introspect and find out why it's happening, and then address it immediately, because this is something you can't always have a situation where you have to carry 30 people, of whom 50 will, fall by the wayside, because it's becoming farcical, in my opinion.
That it is. Let's hope Saini and Shardul Thakur, of course, both of them do end up playing day 2. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ayaz.
Thanks, Mendra. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you all for listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast with Ayaz Memon on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy, India's largest online pharmacy, and MediBuddy.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.